do have to say before I begin that you would have to be a professional investigative journalist or biographer to do any sort of justice to Shonali's personal history. So this is just going to be unbelievably skimming the surface, which I'm sure brings great relief to Shonali. Shonali grew up in the Midwest and grew up in a family. Unfortunately, her mom and dad weren't able to be here today. She's surrounded by family and loved ones. And her mom and her dad are both physicians. And it was expected that all the children, both Shonali and her two brothers, would become physicians as well. And a lot, Shonali, though, to say, Shonali's never been one and never will be one to just accept what other people think of her and want her to do. And she is going to think very carefully and deeply about what she personally wants to do and what's best for her in terms of making a difference in the world that she wants to. So she struggled very much with this question of growing up with the expectation that she'd become a physician, but not at all sure that that's the best way that she can contribute. She went to Columbia University for undergrad, and there she became deeply involved with nonprofit work, Project Green Hope, which worked with women, very much the women on the very brink of society who either had HIV or substance abuse. And that's really where, while she was at an incredibly elite university in Manhattan, she felt most comfortable and felt that she was doing what she had always wanted to do. Her involvement was very intense with the women she was helping and drew her, brought her, and strengthened her passion for understanding substance abuse and helping people who are struggling with substance abuse. At Columbia, she chose to study African American studies. Now, as I mentioned, her parents are expecting her to be doing biochemistry. And if they're paying Columbia's tuition, they expect to get their returns. Shonali handled that relatively simply by telling her father that she was, in fact, studying biochemistry and pre-med. And she just figured, we'll see where this whole thing takes me. And that went on for a little while. But fortunately, her dad saw through this facade and suggested to her while she was studying whatever she was up to, that why don't she incorporate a few science courses into the mix, not to limit her options in the future. Shonali, understanding who was paying the tuition, agreed to this compromise and continued with her work in the with the nonprofit, working with women, as well as her studies. After graduating from Columbia, she was not yet sure what she wanted to do, and it took 2 years really exploring different options. One thing she did was study to be a chef. Now, when Shonali was explaining this to me, that she became a chef at a special school that taught organic, macrobiotic, vegan. I began to wonder if they actually used any ingredients whatsoever. I was thinking maybe after a few blessings, she could put a little St. John's wort into water and screw it as a tea. So I'm not exactly sure what Shonali can cook, but she did graduate from culinary instruction. And then she went international as well. She went and studied yoga in India and became a yoga instructor. And then, but during this process, she decided that it would make sense for her to continue this path of exploring medicine, because she thought that the way that she could give back most to the people she was most interested, the underserved that she was most interested in serving, was to get the best training possible. So she headed into school. She started at Mount Sinai, bless you, where shortly after beginning, the Twin Towers were hit on 9/11. And that experience in which they brought the class together as the smoke was rising over Manhattan, and they brought the first years together to try to figure out how they could volunteer, be it in the emergency room or wherever they were needed. And they sat and waited, and just waited, and there was only silence. No patient ever arrived. And this was a devastating event, of course, for the nation and for Manhattan, but also personally for Shonali, because she again questioned whether or not this medicine, really was making the fundamental changes in the world that she wanted to affect. Here they were, unable to help or save a single person. This soul searching led to Shonali taking a year off, and during that time, she returned to work very intensely with that same group, Green Hope, serving the substance abuse and HIV, creating curriculum for them. She also decided to pursue other avenues, understanding different avenues of treating substance abuse, and studied how to apply acupuncture in the treatment of substance abuse, adding that to her yoga and culinary skills. But after another year of deep thought, she did decide that she wanted to return to medicine, and that again would be the best path. So it was not at all that her family's expectations were on her, but she had felt that she had come to the conclusion, and this would be her final decision. And sure enough, she returned to Mount Sinai and excelled. But when we met her and we interviewed her, I remember very clearly us talking, and as you can imagine from the history I told you, we were a little unsure about how long residency might take or how much soul searching might be involved. So it was with a slight hesitation that we ranked Shona extremely highly, and were just delighted when she chose to join us. Here, it's been an absolute fantastic experience. Shonali has combined her love and passion for alternative medicine with Western medicine in the most profound way. Her insistence on getting the data, the facts on everything, sticking to the truth, sticking to things that make scientific sense is unparalleled in the class, and it's just been an absolute delight to see. She's done that while keeping this intense and personal, passionate connection with individual patients. An example of this was that one of her patients, who was quite ill, ended up getting complications in her foot that led to an amputation. She was admitted to a tertiary care hospital here in Boston, so not in Cambridge, and she was calling the clinic and asking to talk to her PCP. Unfortunately, Shonali was on vacation, but she called back and said she only wanted to talk to her PCP. So I knew that Shonali would want to know this. She might not want to know this exactly during Mardi Gras at 9 a.m. in the morning, but nevertheless, it was time to let her know. So I called Shonali on her cell, and she was unbelievable in terms of being thankful that I had called her to fill her in about her patient. She said, "I'll take care of it," and the rest of the day was on the phone chatting with her patient who was admitted. And then when she came back to Cambridge, she not only brought Mardi Gras beads for me, promised me that she would not obtain them, but also went right to the hospital to visit her patient. This is the type of unbelievable, beautiful merging of thoughtfulness, of a broad mind, with a intense commitment to individual patients, along with combining the best evidence possible. With that, it's just such a pleasure and honor for me to thank you, Shonali, for spending the last 3 years with us. And I look forward, Shonali will be starting a fellowship in adolescent medicine at Johns Hopkins. in very shortly. And I look forward, Shona, to your amazing career ahead. Congratulations.
Thank God, who's the center of my life and all of my achievements. I'd like to thank the people that did residency with me, those who came later, and those who were there from the beginning. You're true friends, and I'll always be there for you. I'd like to thank the teaching, the leadership, and the trust that I received while I was at Cambridge. I came here on a friendship medicine, and I feel like I'm leaving a leader. And I'd like to thank my family, those who are present biologically, if not